Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Alexis Harper stood in the doorway of her own bedroom, her carry-on bag still in her hand, staring at the nightmare that had invaded her sanctuary. A pale pink robe hung on the back of the bathroom door, where her navy one used to be. Makeup she had never purchased was scattered across her vanity, brushes and palettes, and a foundation shade that did not match her skin. Prenatal vitamins sat next to the sink in a neat little row. Another woman had moved into her home, into her life, into her marriage, and had made herself comfortable in the space Alexis had carefully built over 8 years. The house was quiet in that heavy, unnatural way that made her ears ring. Desmond's car sat in the driveway next to an unfamiliar silver sedan. Alexis's red business suit suddenly felt too tight, constricting around her chest as she tried to breathe normally. She had come home 2 days early from a conference in Dallas, eager to surprise her husband with the news that she had been offered a major promotion based out of Seattle. Instead, she was the one being surprised. She set her bag down slowly, her hands trembling so badly the wheels rattled on the hardwood. Everything looked wrong. The bed was made differently, the comforter tucked and folded in a style she never used. Extra throw pillows, floral, frilly, definitely not hers, were arranged along the headboard. The framed photo of their wedding day that usually sat on Desmond's nightstand was face down. In its place stood a sonogram image in a cheap plastic frame. Alexis picked up the sonogram with shaking fingers. 20 weeks, the date stamp read, taken just 5 days ago. Her stomach lurched as she counted backward in her mind. 5 months. This had been going on for at least 5 months, probably longer. She put the frame down carefully, as if it might explode, and walked to the closet. The closet told the rest of the story. Women's clothes that were definitely not hers took up half the space where her winter wardrobe used to hang. Maternity jeans, flowing tops, sports bras, comfortable shoes in a size smaller than Alexis wore. A floral overnight bag sat open on the floor with lotions and hair products she did not recognize. This woman had not visited. She had moved in. Alexis's phone buzzed in her purse, snapping her out of her trance. A text from her assistant lit the screen. "Hope you are enjoying your last day in Dallas. See you Monday." Alexis stared at the message. She should have been in a ballroom right now, attending the final keynote speech and sipping conference coffee. Instead, she was standing in her own bedroom realizing that her entire life had been a lie. She walked through the house like a stranger, cataloging every change with cold precision. New coffee mugs in the kitchen with pastel inspirational quotes. A different brand of orange juice in the refrigerator. Ginger tea and saltine crackers stacked neatly on the counter, the kind pregnant women used for morning sickness. On the dining table, a pile of bills addressed to Desmond at this address, but with another woman's name on the shared accounts, Sierra Monroe. The study door was closed, which it never was when Alexis was home. She opened it and found Desmond's laptop sitting open on the desk. The screen glowed with his email inbox. Alexis had never needed to snoop before. Trust had been the foundation of their marriage. Or so she had believed. That foundation was rubble now. She sank into the leather chair she had given him for his last birthday and began to read. The messages went back 9 months. At first, Sierra had been a client of Desmond's small consulting firm, asking professional questions, requesting meetings, following up politely. The emails shifted slowly from formal to friendly, from friendly to flirtatious, from flirtatious to explicit. By the 3rd month, they were exchanging late-night messages about their connection. By the 5th, Sierra was writing about their future together, about the family they would build, about how soon Desmond would leave his wife. "She does not understand you like I do," Sierra had written. "She is always working, always traveling. I will make you the center of my world. Our baby will make you happy in ways she never could." Our baby. The words hit Alexis like a physical blow. This was not some drunken mistake or one-time lapse in judgment. This was deliberate, planned, a calculated takeover of her husband and her life. She printed the emails, all of them, watching page after page slide from the printer tray. Each sheet felt like another nail in the coffin of her marriage. A sound from upstairs made her freeze. Footsteps. Water running. Someone was in the master bathroom, her bathroom, using her shower, humming a cheerful tune. Alexis gathered the printed pages, slipped them into her laptop bag, and walked quietly back to the bedroom. Steam drifted from the bathroom doorway. The humming grew louder. She stood in the doorway and waited. The woman who emerged was younger than Alexis expected. Mid-20s at most, with long straight hair pulled into a loose bun, a rounded belly visible beneath the pale pink robe that used to hang in Alexis's closet. She stopped short when she saw Alexis, then slowly smiled. Actually smiled. "Oh," she said, her voice bright and unbothered. "You are back early. Desmond told me you would not be home until Sunday." Alexis stared at her, taking in the casual posture, the hand resting lightly on the curve of her stomach, the complete lack of shame. This woman was standing in Alexis's bathroom, wearing Alexis's robe, claiming to carry Alexis's husband's child, and she looked mildly annoyed about the schedule change. Alexis's voice came out low and precise. "Get out of my house." Sierra laughed softly and placed a more protective hand on her belly. "Your house?" she said, tilting her head. "I think you are confused. Desmond asked me to move in 2 months ago. This is my home now. I am having his baby. You are the one who needs to leave." The words were so absurd that Alexis almost laughed. Almost. But there was something in Sierra's eyes, a cold certainty that made it clear she genuinely believed she had won. "Where is Desmond?" Alexis asked, refusing to rise to the bait. "At the store getting me pickles and ice cream," Sierra answered without hesitation. "The baby has been craving it all day." She brushed past Alexis as if she were an inconvenient piece of furniture and sat down on the edge of the bed, perfectly at ease. "Look, I know this is awkward, but we are all adults here. Desmond and I are in love. I am giving him something you could not. A family. A child. Someone who actually appreciates him instead of choosing a career over him." Alexis felt her nails dig into her palms. "You know nothing about my marriage," she said. "I know enough," Sierra replied, walking to the vanity and picking up a bottle of lotion as if she owned it. She began calmly moisturizing her arms. "I know he has been unhappy for years. I know you are never here. I know he deserves better than a wife who treats him like an afterthought. He would have told you himself, but you are always busy. This is better, a clean break. You can go focus on your big promotion, and Desmond and I can raise our baby in peace." The thunk of the garage door opening downstairs cut through the tension. Both women turned toward the sound. Desmond's voice drifted up from the foyer, cheerful and oblivious. "Sierra, I got 3 kinds of pickles because I was not sure which one you wanted." His footsteps thudded up the stairs. "I also grabbed that ginger ale you like and some of those cookies." He appeared in the doorway with grocery bags dangling from his hands. For one suspended moment, the world went silent. Then the bags slipped from his fingers, jars and boxes scattering across the hardwood. "Alexis," he breathed. "You are home." His face drained of color. She looked at him, at the man she had shared a bed with for 8 years, the man who stood now in their bedroom with groceries for another woman's pregnancy cravings. "Do not bother explaining," Alexis said. Her voice came out calmer than she felt. "I will be back tomorrow with a lawyer to discuss how we are dividing everything. In the meantime, enjoy your new life." "Wait, please," Desmond stammered, reaching for her arm. "Alexis, just let me." She stepped back before he could touch her. "Do not touch me. Do not call me. Do not text me. Talk to my lawyer." She picked up her carry-on, walked past him, and headed down the stairs without looking back. Behind her, she heard Sierra's voice float out, sweet and smug. "Let her go, baby. We do not need her anymore. We have each other and our baby. That is all that matters." Alexis made it to her car before the first tear fell. She sat behind the wheel, hands gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white, and allowed herself exactly 5 minutes to sob. When the timer on her dashboard hit 5, she wiped her face, started the engine, and drove to her older sister Kimberly's house on the other side of town. The weekend blurred into a haze of disbelief, anger, and exhaustion. Kimberly put a pot of tea on the stove and listened quietly as Alexis told her everything. What she had found, what Sierra had said, how Desmond had looked. "You are not going back there," Kimberly said firmly when Alexis finally finished. "You are staying here until you talk to a lawyer and figure out your next move." Alexis spent most of Saturday on the couch under one of Kimberly's soft throw blankets, staring at the television without really seeing what was on. Kimberly brought her soup she did not eat and water she barely sipped. "You have to eat," Kimberly insisted at one point, sitting on the coffee table and looking her in the eye. "You cannot fight if you are running on fumes." On Monday morning, Alexis woke up with 3 decisions solidified in her mind. First, she would file for divorce. Immediately. Second, she would hire the best lawyer money could buy. Third, she would never let any of them, Desmond, Sierra, or anyone else, see her broken again. She sat at Kimberly's kitchen table in a crisp blue blazer, applied her makeup with steady hands, and went to work as though her world had not imploded. At the office in downtown Houston, her colleagues congratulated her on the promotion offer. "Seattle is a big move, Alexis," her boss, Mr. Reynolds, said with a proud smile. "You earned it. Take a few days to think it over, but I hope you say yes." Alexis smiled, thanked him, and kept her voice even while her phone buzzed in her purse with call after call from Desmond. She blocked his number before lunch. When the emails started, she set up a filter that sent anything from his address straight to a folder labeled trash. That afternoon, she called Kimberly from her office. "I need the number for that lawyer you used when you bought your business," Alexis said. "The one who does not lose." On Thursday morning, Alexis walked into a glass and steel building in Houston's financial district, rode the elevator to the 20th floor, and stepped into the corner office of attorney Rhonda Holloway. Rhonda was in her 50s, with a sharp bob and a charcoal suit that looked custom-tailored. She shook Alexis's hand firmly and said, "Tell me everything. Do not leave anything out." Alexis spent an hour recounting it all: the robe, the sonogram, the emails, Sierra's smug speech in the bedroom. The social media announcement Sierra had posted over the weekend claiming she had found true love and was starting a family with the love of her life. Rhonda took notes in precise handwriting, her expression unreadable. When Alexis finished, Rhonda set her pen down. "First question," Rhonda said. "Do you want him back?" "Absolutely not," Alexis answered without hesitation. "Good," Rhonda replied. "I do not handle reconciliations. I handle endings. Thorough ones." She leaned forward. "Second question. How badly do you want to win?" Alexis frowned. "What does winning look like to you?" "Winning," Rhonda said, "is more than getting a divorce. It is about walking away with your assets protected, your reputation intact, and the truth documented so clearly that no one can twist it. It can also mean making sure the Sierra person does not get to keep what she thinks she has taken. That requires patience and strategy. Are you willing to play the long game?" Alexis thought of Sierra's hand on her belly, of the condescending smile, of the way she had said, "Your house?" as if Alexis were delusional. "I want her to regret ever thinking she could take my life," Alexis said quietly. "So yes, I am willing. Then we are going to need a private investigator," Rhonda said. "Something about her story does not add up. The timeline is too convenient. She meets your husband, and within weeks she is pregnant, right when their affair is becoming serious. That is either miraculous timing or careful planning. My guess is planning and practice." She slid a business card across the desk. "This is Lionel Brooks. He is the best investigator I know. He is expensive, but worth every cent. I want him to dig into Sierra Monroe's background. Every job, every relationship, every address. If she is lying about anything, we will find it." That afternoon, Alexis met Lionel at a coffee shop near the courthouse. He was a compact man in his early 50s with a weathered leather messenger bag and eyes that missed nothing. "Rhonda speaks highly of you," he said, shaking her hand. "She said you were looking for answers about a woman named Sierra." "I want to know who she really is," Alexis said. "Everything." Lionel pulled out a notebook. "Start with what you know," he said. "Full name as you know it, approximate age, where she says she is from, how she met your husband, and anything she has told him about her past." Alexis recounted what she had learned from Desmond's emails and Sierra's social media. Sierra claimed to be 26, from Ohio originally, now living in Texas for the past 3 years. She said she worked in marketing but was vague about the company, claimed her parents had died in a car accident when she was young, said she had been raised by an aunt who passed away a few years ago. Lionel scribbled notes. "Any friends?" he asked. "Anyone from her supposed past? Family? Ex-co-workers?" "Not that I saw," Alexis said. "Her social media only goes back 18 months. Before that, there is nothing. No high school pictures, no college photos, nothing." "That is interesting," Lionel said, underlining something in his notebook. "Most people leave digital footprints. If hers stops at 18 months, she either scrubbed her history or changed identities. Neither is good." He asked about money next. Alexis told him about the unfamiliar credit card statements she had found in the house when she went back briefly with Kimberly to pick up some of her clothes. Restaurant charges at places Alexis had never been, jewelry store receipts, a large furniture purchase. "Give me copies of everything you can," Lionel said. I want to see the pattern of spending. And tell me about the pregnancy. Does Desmond believe the baby is his? He says it is, Alexis answered. He told her he wanted to go to appointments, but in one email he complained that she always scheduled them during his work hours. She said doctors were booked and insurance was complicated. Lionel's mouth tightened. Trust your instincts, he said. Women who use pregnancy to secure men often have practice. It might not be her first time. Here is what I am going to do. I am going to run a comprehensive background check. Criminal records, civil suits, marriage licenses, divorce records, employment verification, credit history, property records. If she is lying about anything, I will find it. Initial results in about a week, full report in 2 to 3. The following days crawled by. Alexis threw herself into work, learning more about the Seattle role and burying herself in spreadsheets and strategy decks. At night, she went back to Kimberly's house, where her sister insisted she eat and sleep. Desmond called 17 times the first day he was served with legal separation papers. She blocked his new number as soon as she recognized it. Sierra took a different approach. On Tuesday afternoon, Alexis received a call from an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. We need to talk woman to woman, Sierra said, her voice falsely sweet. We have nothing to discuss, Alexis replied, already reaching for the end call button. Oh, I think we do, Sierra insisted. Desmond and I plan to get married as soon as the divorce is final. I think it would be better for everyone if you made this quick and easy. Do not be one of those bitter ex-wives who drag things out. Sign the papers, take your half, and move on with dignity. I could make things very difficult for you if I wanted to. How exactly? Alexis asked, annoyance winning over indifference. People talk, Sierra said lightly. I know everyone in Desmond's circle now. His business partners, his family. They all know about our baby and how unhappy he has been with you for years. If you make trouble, I will make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of wife you were. Cold, distant, career-obsessed. Is that how you want to be remembered? A strange calm settled over Alexis. Are you threatening me? She asked. I am giving you a reality check, Sierra replied. This is my life now. My home, my man, my family. You are the past. Accept it or do not. Either way, I am not going anywhere. We will see about that, Alexis said softly and hung up. Then she called Rhonda. She just threatened me over the phone, Alexis reported. Said she would ruin my reputation if I do not make this easy. Good, Rhonda said. Save that number and any voicemail she leaves. Next time she calls, if you can record her. I am sending a cease and desist letter in the meantime. She has no legal right to contact you about your divorce. That is harassment. A week after their first meeting, Lionel called at 7 o'clock in the morning. I have preliminary results, he said. Can you come to my office before work? Alexis arrived at his downtown office half an hour later, her heart pounding. Lionel's desk was covered with folders, printouts, and photographs. Sierra Monroe is not who she says she is, he said without preamble. In fact, that is not even her real name. Her real name is Sierra Lawson. She was born in Florida, not Ohio. She is 32, not 26, and she is wanted in 2 states for fraud and identity theft. Alexis's breath caught. What? Lionel spread photographs across the desk. Different driver's licenses with different names. Different addresses. Different states. The same face. She has done this before, Lionel continued. Multiple times. She targets successful men, usually married, usually vulnerable. She claims to be pregnant, demands they leave their wives, drains their bank accounts, and disappears before anyone can prosecute. She has left a trail of bankruptcies and restraining orders across at least 3 states that I can verify. Likely more. How many men? Alexis asked, her voice barely above a whisper. For confirmed, Lionel said. I suspect more. She is also still legally married. Nevada marriage certificate 3 years ago to a real estate developer in Phoenix named Victor Ellis. No divorce on record. Anything she does with Desmond is bigamy. Alexis stared at a photo of Victor, distinguished mid-50s, standing in front of a sleek office building. Does he know where she is? She asked. He did not, Lionel said. Until yesterday. I called him. Once he verified who I was and why I was contacting him, he had a lot to say. She drained $200,000 from his accounts before he figured out what was happening. She claimed to be pregnant with his child, faked symptoms, used someone else's sonogram images. He came home early one day and found her packing to leave. There was no baby. She disappeared before police could find her. Alexis felt sick and vindicated at the same time. So the baby she claims is Desmond's might not even exist, she said. Lionel's expression hardened. That is where it gets even more interesting, he said. I pulled hospital records from cities where she has lived. She has claimed to be pregnant at least 3 times before. One ended in a supposed miscarriage right after a large sum of money was transferred to her. Another was never medically verified. The third was proven to be by another man entirely. And 4 years ago, she had a voluntary tubal ligation in Atlanta. Medically, she cannot get pregnant at all. This current pregnancy is fake. Alexis sat back, stunned. She cannot be pregnant, she repeated slowly. Not according to every medical record I have, Lionel said. The sonogram images she showed Desmond are almost certainly purchased or recycled. She is following her usual pattern. In 4 to 6 weeks, she will claim to have lost the baby and ask for more money to cope with the trauma. Then she will vanish with whatever she has taken. We have to tell him, Alexis said, anger flaring. He needs to know he has been conned. Not yet, Lionel cautioned. If we warn him now, he will confront her. She will panic and run. We need her in place while we coordinate with law enforcement. Rhonda is already talking to the district attorney's office. We will build a criminal case. In the meantime, let them think they are winning. People get careless when they think they have already won. Over the next 2 weeks, the situation escalated. Sierra posted a public announcement on social media with a sonogram photo and a long caption about fighting for love and breaking a few hearts along the way. The post racked up likes and congratulatory comments. A few people Alexis had considered friends clicked the little heart icon. Alexis took screenshots of everything and then deactivated her own accounts. Sierra also hired a lawyer who sent Alexis a lawsuit accusing her of harassment and emotional distress. Alexis read the claims, alleging she had stalked Sierra, made threatening phone calls, and spread malicious lies, and laughed without humor. Rhonda filed a motion to dismiss and a countersuit for malicious prosecution. She knows we are investigating her, Rhonda said. She is trying to flip the narrative. That tells me she is scared. Sierra's behavior became more erratic. She showed up at Alexis's office building twice, insisting on speaking with her. Security turned her away on Alexis's instructions. She left rambling voicemails on the company line, alternating between tearful pleas and venomous threats. You are ruining my life, one message said. Desmond and I love each other. We are having a baby. Why can you not just let us be happy? Another message ended with, You think you are smarter than me? I have dealt with women like you before. You are going to regret this. Alexis saved every message and forwarded them to Rhonda and Lionel. More evidence, Rhonda said, her voice dry. She is doing half our job for us. On a bright Saturday morning, Alexis sat in a conference room at the county district attorney's office with Rhonda, Lionel, and Victor Ellis. At the head of the table sat prosecutor Angela Moss, a woman in her 40s with a controlled intensity that made the room feel smaller. Angela spread documents across the table, bank records, fake IDs, victim statements, medical records, marriage certificates. Sierra Lawson has been running this fraud for at least 6 years that we can prove, Angela said. We have enough for charges of fraud, identity theft, money laundering, and bigamy. The total amount stolen from all victims exceeds $400,000. She destroyed my life, Victor said quietly, his hands clenched around a coffee cup. My credit, my reputation, my marriage before her. I want to see her prosecuted fully. No deals. We intend to be thorough, Angela replied. But we have to be careful. She is a flight risk. The moment she senses we are closing in, she will vanish. We are going to coordinate arrests and search warrants for maximum impact. On Monday morning, officers will execute an arrest warrant at the home she shares with Desmond. We will freeze her accounts at the same time. We want her with no chance to run. Alexis felt her heart pound against her ribs. Will Desmond be charged? She asked. Angela considered. That depends on what we find and what he knew, she said. Right now, he appears to be another victim. He will be questioned extensively, and he may face civil consequences, especially regarding debts incurred in his name. But unless we uncover evidence that he was aware of the fraud, criminal charges against him are unlikely. The day before the raid, Alexis sat on Kimberly's back porch, watching the sun set and listening to the hum of traffic in the distance. What are you going to do when this is all over? Kimberly asked, curling her hands around a mug of tea. Alexis stared at the fading light. I do not know, she admitted. For months, my entire life has been lawyers' meetings and financial statements and private investigators. After the arrest, after the trial, after the divorce, I have no idea what comes next. Then maybe start with what you want, Kimberly suggested. Not what Desmond wanted. Not what your marriage demanded. What does Alexis want? Alexis thought of the promotion waiting for her in Seattle, of the email from her boss saying, "We believe you could build something powerful there," of the list she had kept on her phone of places she wanted to visit: New York City, Miami, the mountains in Colorado. I want to travel, she said slowly. I want to wake up in a place where no one knows my history. I want to say yes to opportunities without asking someone else's permission. Monday morning, Alexis woke before dawn and sat on the edge of the guest bed at Kimberly's house, staring at the soft glow of the alarm clock. At 6 o'clock, her phone rang. Lionel's name flashed across the screen. It is happening now, he said when she answered. Officers are at the house. I will call you back when I know more. The next 2 hours felt endless. Alexis paced the length of Kimberly's living room, made coffee she did not drink, checked her phone every few minutes. Kimberly tried to distract her with stories about her own business, with light gossip about mutual friends, but Alexis's mind was 2 neighborhoods away. Finally, Lionel called again. It is done, he said. They arrested her at the house. They found multiple fake IDs, financial records, padded clothes, stacks of old sonogram prints, the works. Desmond was there. He is not under arrest, but he is being questioned. Alexis, it is over. We got her. Alexis sank onto the couch, tears burning her eyes. Relief flooded through her like warm water, washing away some of the bitterness that had lodged in her chest. Thank you, she managed. For everything. You did this, Lionel said. You trusted your instincts. You refused to be bullied. You were patient when it would have been easier to explode. This is your victory. By noon, local news stations were running the story. Woman accused of multi-state relationship fraud arrested in Houston. They listed some of the charges, mentioned multiple male victims, and referred to Desmond as one of the targets. Alexis's name did not appear. Angela had insisted on keeping her as anonymous as possible in public records, calling her only the spouse in official statements. Reporters still found their way to Alexis's office building. Cameras gathered near the front entrance, hoping for footage of the wife. Alexis used a side entrance with the help of building security, went straight to her floor, and closed her office door. Her boss knocked once and stepped inside. I saw the news, he said quietly. I am so sorry you have been going through this while still showing up and doing excellent work. If you need time off, take it. Your job is secure. Thank you, Alexis said, surprised by the lump in her throat. That means more than you know. That evening, while Alexis sat at Kimberly's table eating takeout for the first time in days, Rhonda called. Desmond wants to talk to you, she said. His lawyer called my office. He is devastated. He says he had no idea who Sierra really was. I do not care, Alexis said immediately. I do not want to talk to him. The divorce proceeds exactly as planned. I told his lawyer the same thing, Rhonda replied. But I thought you should know. His business is in trouble. There is talk of missed payroll and unpaid vendors. Sierra drained him more than even we realized. Over the following weeks, the legal process moved quickly. Sierra, facing overwhelming evidence and multiple victims ready to testify, accepted a plea deal. She pled guilty to dozens of counts and agreed to reveal her hidden accounts in exchange for a fixed sentence. Angela called Alexis with the news. Sentencing will be in 6 weeks, Angela said. You will not have to testify. Restitution will be arranged for victims, including Desmond. She will be in prison for a long time. Alexis listened and felt, not triumph exactly, but a quiet sense of justice. Sierra would not be able to hurt anyone else for a long time. That was enough. The divorce hearing itself was almost anticlimactic. On a warm Friday morning, Alexis walked into the courthouse in a navy suit, Rhonda by her side. Desmond was already there, thinner than she remembered, his cheeks hollow, his suit hanging slightly loose. He tried to catch her eye, but she looked past him. The judge reviewed their agreement. No children, clean division of assets, sale of the marital home with profits split evenly, no spousal support. Desmond did not contest any of it. This divorce is granted, the judge said, bringing down the gavel. You are both free to go. In the hallway, Desmond hurried after Alexis. Please, he said, his voice rough. Alexis, I just need a minute. She stopped at the elevator, but did not turn fully toward him. There is nothing left to say, she replied. You made your choices. I am making mine. I was a fool, he said. I let her tell me everything I wanted to hear. She said you did not care, that you had outgrown us. I believed her. I ignored you. I betrayed you. I regret it every day. You thought you were special, Alexis said, finally looking at him. You thought you had found someone who understood you better than the woman who stood by you for 8 years. You believed a stranger over your own wife. That is not Sierra's fault alone. That is yours. She stepped into the elevator. Goodbye, Desmond. His lawyer started forward as if to follow, but Rhonda stepped between them. Do not harass my client, Mr. Patterson, she said crisply. If you continue, we will seek a restraining order. The doors slid closed on Desmond's devastated expression. That afternoon, Alexis and Rhonda sat at a small restaurant with outdoor seating, the Houston air warm and full of traffic noise. Rhonda ordered champagne. To your freedom, she toasted. To new beginnings, Alexis said, clinking her glass. In the weeks that followed, Alexis signed papers to finalize the sale of the house and watched the funds hit her personal account. She leased a modern apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and no memories attached. She accepted the Seattle promotion officially. Her boss was thrilled. You are the right person to build that office, he said. You know how to fight through a storm and still deliver. Before the move, Alexis took a trip she had been dreaming about quietly for years. She and her best friend Faith Coleman flew to Maui, Hawaii, for a week of rest. You need white sand and blue water, Faith had insisted. And umbrella drinks. Lots of umbrella drinks. On the island, days blurred into a gentle rhythm. The first 3 days, Alexis did little more than sleep, eat fresh fruit, and sit on the beach listening to the waves. On the 4th morning, she joined a sunrise yoga class on the sand, breathing in the salt air and stretching muscles that had been clenched for months. At breakfast afterward, Faith watched her across the table. You look different, Faith said. Lighter. I feel different, Alexis admitted. Like myself again. Or maybe a new version of myself. That evening, they sat on the villa's patio overlooking the water. Faith pulled out a travel journal that Alexis's co-workers had given her as a going-away gift. Write something, Faith said. Mark this moment. Alexis opened to the first page and took a pen. Day 4 in Maui, she wrote. I feel like I am rediscovering the parts of me that got buried in my marriage. I like early mornings and watching the sky change colors. I like trying new food and walking barefoot in the sand. I like being alone with my thoughts. I am scared, but I am also excited. For the first time, my future feels like mine. When she showed Faith, her friend blinked rapidly. That is beautiful, Faith said. Keep writing. By the end of the week, the journal was half full. Alexis had written about the case, about the moment she watched footage of Sierra being escorted into a courtroom in an orange jumpsuit, about the complicated mix of satisfaction and sorrow she felt knowing Desmond's business had declared bankruptcy because of Sierra's theft. She ached for his employees, who had lost their jobs through no fault of their own. She did not ache for him. Back in Texas, time accelerated. Alexis packed her apartment, donated anything that reminded her of her old life, and hugged Kimberly and Faith goodbye at the airport. We are 1 flight away, Kimberly said, trying not to cry. You are not losing us. You are adding new chapters. Seattle greeted Alexis with gray skies and cool air the day she arrived, but as she stood in her new apartment overlooking the water, she felt something close to joy. Her new office was sleek and busy, filled with people who knew her only as the sharp, capable director who had come to build something from the ground up. No one there knew her as the betrayed wife or the woman whose husband's mistress went to prison. She was just Alexis. On her first Saturday in the city, Alexis wandered through Pike Place Market, watched vendors throw fish and arrange flowers, rode a ferry just to feel the wind on her face, and hiked a trail in Discovery Park, breathing in the scent of pine and salt. When she video called Kimberly and Faith that night to show them the view from her balcony, they both grinned. You look happy, Kimberly said. I am, Alexis replied, surprised to realize it was true. 6 months into her new life, Alexis's assistant knocked on her office door one afternoon. There is someone here to see you, she said. He does not have an appointment, but he says he is working on a photography project and read about your story in an article about the fraud case. Alexis tensed. What is his name? Jared Cooper, her assistant answered. He is a photographer from New York, here for an exhibit. He said he can come back if now is not a good time. Alexis almost said no. She had worked hard to build a life not defined by what had happened with Desmond and Sierra. But curiosity nudged her. "Give me 5 minutes," she said. "Then send him in." She used the time to look him up. His website showed portraits of women who had survived serious illness, escaped abusive relationships, or rebuilt their lives after public scandals. The project was titled Afterward, Women Rebuilt. When Jared walked in, he carried a camera bag and a warm, slightly nervous smile. He was tall, dressed in dark jeans and a green sweater, with an easy manner that set people at ease. "Thank you for seeing me, Miss Harper," he said, shaking her hand. "I promise I am not here to sensationalize what you went through. My project is about what comes after the worst happens. I am interested in the rebuilding, not the destruction." They talked for an hour. Jared asked thoughtful questions about how Alexis had decided to investigate, what it felt like to move across the country alone, how she balanced ambition with healing. He showed her photographs of other women in the series, a woman who had survived breast cancer and started a nonprofit, another who had put herself through law school in her 50s after leaving an abusive husband. "What made you want to talk to me?" Alexis asked finally. "Because you did what most people only talk about," Jared said. "You faced betrayal and humiliation in public. You could have disappeared. Instead, you documented everything, fought back with your mind instead of your fists, and then built a new life in a new city. That takes courage." Alexis looked down at her hands. "I just did what I had to do to survive," she said. "That is what every woman in this series says," Jared replied with a small smile. "But it does not make it any less remarkable." They arranged a photo session for the following week. Jared wanted to capture her at work, in the city, in the apartment she had chosen for herself. The session turned out to be unexpectedly fun. Jared had a way of making her laugh mid-shot, of asking questions that made her forget about the camera. "Do you ever talk to your ex-husband?" he asked one afternoon as they walked along the waterfront between locations. "No," Alexis said. "There is nothing left to say. The divorce is final. That chapter is closed." "Do you think you will ever trust someone again?" Jared asked, his tone gentle rather than probing. "I mean really trust." Alexis considered. "I do not know," she admitted. "Right now, I am happy alone. I am focused on my career, my friends, this new life. Romance is not a priority. But maybe someday, if I meet someone who proves they are worthy of trust, I will be open to it." "That sounds healthy," Jared said. "Better than pretending nothing ever hurt you." After the final shots, Jared asked if she wanted to grab coffee. Alexis hesitated, then said yes. They sat in a small cafe near the market, rain tapping against the windows. Jared told her about his own divorce 3 years earlier, how he had thrown himself into his work afterward. She told him about Maui, about the travel journal, about the elevator doors closing on Desmond's face. As the weeks passed, Jared became a regular presence in her life. They met for coffee sometimes without cameras. They explored art galleries and tried new restaurants. It was not quite dating, but it was more than casual friendship. Jared never pushed. He listened more than he talked. One evening, they sat on Alexis's balcony looking at printed proofs from the photo series. Her phone rang. The caller ID showed Angela Moss. "Everything okay?" Jared asked when Alexis stepped inside to take the call. "Bethany, excuse me, Sierra, just tried to escape from prison last week," Angela said on the line. "She was caught and transferred to a higher security facility. Her parole eligibility has been revoked. She will serve the full 12 years now, possibly longer if additional charges are added." Alexis felt very little. Mild interest, perhaps. "Thank you for letting me know," she said. "How are you?" Angela asked. "I heard about your move. New job, new everything." Alexis looked through the balcony door at Jared, who was studying one of her photographs with thoughtful eyes. "I am happy, Angela," she said. "Really happy." "That is the best outcome I could hope for," Angela replied. "The best answer to what they did is the life you build afterward." After they hung up, Alexis stepped back onto the balcony. Jared looked up. "Bad news?" he asked. "Old news," Alexis said. "It does not touch my life anymore." 3 months later, Jared's exhibit opened at a gallery in downtown Seattle. Alexis went to the opening with Faith, who had flown in for the event, and Kimberly, who insisted on making the trip despite a packed schedule. Alexis's photographs hung alongside images of other women, each paired with a short narrative about resilience rather than victimhood. Standing in front of her own portrait, a shot of her on the ferry deck, hair blowing in the wind, eyes steady, Alexis felt something shift. For the first time, she saw herself not as the woman whose husband cheated with a con artist, but as a person who had walked through fire and kept going. "You look powerful," Faith whispered. "You look like you know exactly who you are," Kimberly added. Later that night, after the gallery had emptied, Jared walked Alexis home. They paused on the sidewalk in front of her building, the street lamps casting soft pools of light. "I have to tell you something," he said, hands in his pockets. "I have been offered a 6-month residency in New York starting in the fall." Alexis's heart dipped. "That is incredible," she said. "Congratulations." "I am not sure I want to take it," Jared replied. She frowned. "Why not?" "It sounds like an amazing opportunity." Jared took a breath. "Because I do not want to leave Seattle," he said quietly. "More specifically, I do not want to leave you. We have kept things light, and that was for a reason. I know what you have been through. I did not want to push. But the truth is, I am in love with you, Alexis. I have been for a while. I will turn down the residency if you tell me there is a chance for us. Or I will go and wait, if that is what you need. I just needed you to know where I stand." Alexis's throat tightened. "I am scared," she admitted. "The last time I trusted someone with my heart, he shattered it. I do not ever want to feel that way again." "I understand," Jared said. "I am not asking you to promise me forever. I am asking you to consider the possibility of something real. We can take it slow. We can set any boundaries you need. But I will not pretend I only see you as a friend anymore." Alexis studied his face, open, steady, not desperate. He was not begging her to save him, the way Desmond had begged in the courthouse hallway. He was simply telling the truth. "I am not ready for marriage," she said. "I am not ready to move in with anyone. But I think I am ready to try dating. Intentionally. To see where this goes." Jared's shoulders sagged in visible relief. "That is more than I hoped for," he said. "I can work with that." He leaned in slowly enough that she could turn away if she wanted. She did not. Their first kiss was gentle, cautious, layered with history and possibility. For the first time since everything with Desmond had imploded, Alexis felt hopeful about love without feeling like she was abandoning herself. Over the next months, Alexis and Jared dated properly. Dinner dates and movie nights, weekend hikes and quiet Sundays on the couch. He met Kimberly and Faith, who put him through a friendly but thorough interrogation and ultimately approved. Alexis met his parents during a visit to New York. They welcomed her warmly. Their relationship was different from her marriage in all the ways that mattered. Jared celebrated her promotion to regional director instead of resenting the long hours. He showed up to her big presentation, simply to sit in the audience and smile reassuringly when she glanced his way. When she needed space, he gave it without guilt trips. When she talked about her fears, he listened without defensiveness. 2 years after her divorce, Alexis stood in her office in Seattle looking out at the skyline. Her team had just landed the biggest client in the company's history. Flowers from the corporate headquarters sat on her credenza with a note that read, "You are the reason this office is thriving." Her phone buzzed with a text from Kimberly. "Saw Desmond's latest job update," it read. "Junior consultant at a small firm back home. Making a fraction of what he used to. Thought you would want to know." Alexis stared at the message for a moment, then deleted it without replying. She did not want to know. She did not care what Desmond was doing. He was a closed chapter in a book she no longer reread. That evening, Jared arrived at her apartment with takeout and a familiar smile. They ate on the balcony, watching the sun sink behind the water, the sky streaked with pink and orange. The air was cool but comfortable. "I love you," Jared said quietly as the last sliver of sun disappeared. It was not the first time he had said it, but it still warmed her. "I love you too," Alexis replied, surprised, as always, by the steadiness of the feeling. It did not feel like losing herself. It felt like adding something good to a life she already valued. He kissed her, and she kissed him back. As the city lights flickered on below, Alexis thought about the woman she had been the day she dropped her carry-on in her bedroom and saw a stranger's robe hanging on her bathroom door. That woman had been shattered. The woman on this balcony was whole. She had been betrayed, broken, and nearly buried by someone else's lies and weakness. She had chosen to respond with strategy instead of chaos, with patience instead of public explosions. She had moved across the country, built a new career, formed deeper friendships, and opened her heart again on her own terms. This was not a neat fairy tale ending where everything was magically perfect. It was better than that. It was a life she had chosen piece by piece, a life that belonged entirely to her. And as she leaned against Jared's shoulder, watching the lights shimmer on the water, Alexis Harper knew with absolute certainty that whatever came next, she would be ready. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.